The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
What's up? This is Amy Shark, and this is Ash, the Music Man.
What's up, Ash? It's Sean Mendes.
Hey Ash, this is Ed Sheeran.
Hey Ash, it's your girls, the Veronicas.
Hey Ash, it's Thelma Plum. This is Ash Bradnam, Music Man.
Yeah, so Morgan Wallen, Suze, he was actually, when he was growing up, he wanted to be a baseball player.
Is he athletic looking, this guy? I don't know what he looks like.
He's not overly athletic looking, to be honest with you.
Just normal looking dude.
But he was a pitcher, you know, and when he was in his final year at high school, he was getting scouted around by a few of the colleges to go to college, be on a scholarship, play baseball.
Yeah.
And somehow or other, he stuffed his elbow up in high school, so, like a serious injury. And he was like, I can't play baseball anymore. All of the scholarships were withdrawn, but he'd always played music, and he ended up just becoming a landscape gardener.
God, this sounds like that nudgy boy. What's his name?
Pete Murray.
Yeah, Pete Murray's story. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So he's working as a landscape gardener, and he's like, what am I doing? I need, I've got to get a break. So he got it. What do they do these days? Go on The Voice. And he went on The Voice.
Which one's that? Is that the one where you turn around? No, that's not the one where you it's blind audition.
They turn the seats.
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah.
Press the red button and turn.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Because Usher turned. You can watch it. I saw it yesterday. But this is it. This is the moment that it all changed for Morgan Wallen. So he's at this point. He's a landscape artist, and he goes on The Voice. This is his audition.
The dawn is breaking. A light shining through. Your face is I think of what I've been through. Well, even the best fall down sometimes.
I love this song.
Even the wrong words seem to rhyme.
Who sings this?
And out of the doubt that fills my mind, I finally find you and I collide. Don't stop here, baby. I've lost my place, but I'm close behind.
Howie Day.
Howie Day. Did Usher, it sounded like he turned real quick, like 2 seconds in.
It wasn't Usher that turned straight away.
Right, okay.
I think that's Usher turning now. Usher turned right at the towards the end.
But he picked Usher.
He chose Usher, yeah.
Oh, to be his coach.
Yeah.
How good does he sound?
Sounds even more gravelly than he does now.
He does. That is a great song. Never heard that song before.
It is a good song.
Del, can we get some Howie Day Collide, please?
But even from that point, like he's got to have something special to put himself ahead of the pack. Like everyone's trying to sing country, you know, to get where he's got. He must be something special, Morgan Wallen.
But kind of like everyone wasn't really singing country up until a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, if 4 or 5 years ago, if you had suggested Beyonce was going to come out with a country song, no one would have believed you. Post, like everywhere, it's like country's become.
Well, that Billboard, there's two different charts I saw the other day. The Billboard 200 worldwide and the Billboard 100 US, and like I think there was either 3 or 4 country songs in the top 10.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So what else has he got?
So he's got a couple of other ones. So these were released last year, so he's still pretty new on the scene. So we know Last Night.
I know that last night we
This is him.
It almost sounds like a different person.
Yeah.
Oh, he's full twang here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just too twangy for me, yeah.
What about, and this is the other one you'll probably know, Thinking About Me.
Baby, don't you lie. When you're tasting what he's drinking, are you thinking about me? When you're riding where he's driving, are you missing my street? Every time you close your eyes, tell me who do you see? When you're tasting what he's drinking, are you thinking about me? Coming over tonight. Wish that truck in your drive.
You know who was in country? The first person I knew was really into country was Corey Oates. Remember he used to come in here a couple of years ago?
Yeah, he used to recommend songs too.
Yeah.
He had some good ones.
Yeah.
I reckon if you went into the Bronx change rooms now, there'd be a large portion of them playing country.
Yeah.
Carrigan likes it, you know. It's a big switch. You go back 10 years, they weren't playing country in the
What were
Broncos.
they playing back then?
Oh, R&B, like almost 100%.
Yeah. There was
What about
no.
Kev?
If someone put country on, they wouldn't even get a start in the game that weekend. Honestly, the coach would even tell them to get out.
On Kevy's day, I wonder what they were playing. Kevy and Alfie and stuff.
They'll probably be 4 headphones. I don't remember those.
The pre-headphone era.
Ghetto blasters.
What's up? This is Amy Shark, and this is Ash, the Music Man.
Hey Ash, this is Ed Sheeran.
Hey Ash, it's your girls, the Veronicas.
Hey Ash, it's Thelma Plum. This is Ash Bradnam, Music Man.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
Showers in Sydney just quickly too.
For Wednesday.
Over the weekend, probably dry Tuesday. Chance of slight showers Wednesday. So, but a lot of rain over the weekends. Hopefully that ghastly wind out there at Homebush will dry things up. So we'll have a relatively dry pitch for Wednesday.
It's a sandpit at Homebush
the moment.
anyway, so
Is
it
it?
should, yeah, pretty much.
Well, great.
I've got other names I could call it out there. But all right, we'll roll.
Cesspit.
We'll roll with sandpit. Yes.
Speaking all things stadiums, segue. Back on the front page, fire up for stadium. The chief executive of Brisbane 2032. They had a big sort of lunch yesterday. I didn't go to it. Did you go to it, Susie?
I didn't know there was a lunch on
I
yesterday.
know, right? Maybe I should start telling people. Saying that concerned Queenslanders to speak up and challenge the state's politicians in regards to getting a brand new stadium amidst Brisbane's rapid growth demand. So Cindy Hook is the chief executive. So this is the first time that the organising committee's kind of said anything in relation to what's happening with the current plans to have a sort of makeshift temporary stand sort of situation out at Nathan for the Olympic Games track and field, saying, look, if you're getting, and I think that the public sort of passion for it is starting to move a little bit because people are starting to the communication of it is starting to get a little bit better of what's happening and why Queensland, why Brisbane needs a stadium as a legacy as opposed to just being for the Olympic Games as well.
They need to explain more about Victoria Park for the stadiums there, that there is still going to be just as much green area.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people are saying to me, oh, we need the park there, but it's going to be built where it won't affect the green area. In fact, there's going to be more green area if they build it there.
It's, compared to what people are using right now, and I don't want to push my podcast too much, but I will say that in the last episode, we addressed exactly that. So if you want to get a clearer perspective on what's happening with that Victoria Park proposal, have a listen to the previous episode of Toward the Games, Brisbane 2032. But I mean, I think it's an important step that at least, it's back on the front page that Cindy Hook and someone from Brisbane 2032 is finally saying, or they actually said it sort of thinly veiled, saying that, look, if you want to fix this, people have got to step up because over the last few weeks we've been sort of speaking with heads of industry within Brisbane who all agree that a stadium's the best thing, but we need to communicate that to government, but depending on which government's in come October this year, of course.
Don't you reckon that that's what kind of everyone's waiting for, to get the election out of the way? Although Christopher Foley, has he come out yet and said what he plans to do, or is he still sitting on his hands?
He hasn't, but I think, and I kind of get it, like he's got to get, you know, in the big seat up in George Street before he can do anything. So he's more just worried about getting in first. So I think it'd be politically not within his best interest to use the Olympics as, you know, as a pawn,
as a stepping stone to the premiership.
So he probably won't say anything at this point. But having said that, he's left the door open enough that if he does get in, there's options there. If it is Vic Park, that's just one of them. I mean, I've heard that's the most comprehensive sort of thing I've heard put forward in relation to stadiums. I mean, there's been talking about Hamilton as well as being a proposed site. I don't know enough about that to make a comment on it.
The village will be out there.
The village is out there and there's a bit of space, but I don't know about that. But Vic Park, as Susie said, it will create more green space, certainly than what we have now, and utilise that massive space, which has been a golf course used by like 0.001% of the population for the last God knows how many years.
But as it stands, if Stephen Miles retains the top job, are we having QE2 as the Olympic venue.
At this point,
That's locked in if he wins.
If he wins at this point, that would be locked in. Whether or not, I mean, one thing we've learnt in the last 2 years that politicians can change their minds very quickly. So whether or not when he did win and once he gets a 4-year window then to do things, whether he'll change his mind and look at these other options. Christopher Foley, if you're a betting person right now, I'd say that if Christopher Foley gets in October, the most likely outcome would be a new stadium somewhere, probably Victoria Park. But and then there's the Gabba sits in the middle of this. I just don't know where the Gabba sits within all this now. Because what's happening is that if we don't build a stadium right now, if we have the Olympics at Nathan, right, the Gabba will continue playing cricket and AFL. That'll be our round stadium.
Albeit with an overhaul because it needs it.
It's got a life expectancy that ends in 2030, where it goes to then, and then it needs to
upgrade
over $1 billion spent at least on upgrading, just so it has proper wheelchair access and that the roof's not falling down. It just gets it usable, all right? So then the problem with that is that if we do that at any point now, that displaces AFL and cricket. So cricket will have literally no home for test matches. Brisbane will have no place where the Brisbane Lions can play. So the thought of a new stadium is we build a new stadium, utilise the Gabba until its use-by date has come up.
Yep.
By that stage, Vic Park will be finished, so cricket and AFL will have a home, and then we reimagine the Gabba into whatever we want to at that point. And there's no one loses a spot. The city moves forward, we get a great legacy stadium, and then we can work out what we do with the Gabba. Because as you've made the point, there's a $7 billion infrastructure project which leads directly to the Gabba at the moment, the Cross-City Rail. So they're all the parts and the timeline of what's happening.
Isn't there an independent body now, though, a board that has been set up, which is what a lot of people wanted in the first place, that the politicians don't run it? And it's not this board, it's not the Cindy Hook board, there's another board as well on top of that.
Yeah, there's an independent infrastructure sort of authority.
Yeah, taking it out of the politics.
Yes, and that's a good step. I mean, it's also, but again, one thing we've learned the last 2 years is being hesitant to go, bravo, we're taking it off the politicians, because I think they'll still find a way to have some leverage over that. But hopefully what will happen is whoever's in government come October, they let that independent authority
takes the heat off
make
them.
some great decisions, because what they'll do is they'll lean on brilliant people who actually have a skill set in things like legacy and building stadiums and sport and events and entertainment, and let them do it, as opposed to, as it is at the moment, the decision was basically made by a senior public servant and some dude from the Olympics in Sydney who were deciding Brisbane's fate. Yeah. So I think...
follow that advice that they give, because they didn't do it with the independent review that they...
Exactly.
Yes.
So, but if I was, a betting man, I'm certainly more optimistic than I was probably 2 months ago about the future, particularly in relation to stadiums and that thing with the Olympics. Certainly than I was 2 months ago, where I was quite depressed.
Yeah, I saw it.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
This isn't a coinkydink what just happened to Luttsy, but it reminded me of a coincidence that happened to me on Monday. But just then, Luttsy on his Insta feed, he gets that Morgan Wallen audition.
I thought Nick had posted. Well, Nick's already posted. Then I looked up and it was this country
that fast.
Country Instagram or something.
Just by talking about it, it popped into your Instagram in 1 second.
Literally what he was talking about just popped up on my Insta.
That's like the other day we were talking
bizarre.
about Pilates. We got to ask how your Pilates went last night.
Yeah, I didn't go. We ended up having visitors come over, so it got postponed. Yeah, that's all right.
Can we say Post Malone instead of postponed?
He got Post Malone.
Yes, that's good. I like
Susie
that.
got Post Malone.
That's a great
but how's this for a bizarre coincidence? On Monday, I went to one of the kids' footy training. Okay, I've pulled up at the car park. I'm listening to a podcast as I'm in the car. It's a rugby league podcast, of course.
It's unlike you.
Yes.
It's fascinating.
It was an interview between it doesn't matter, James Graham and Jason Nightingale. Okay, and they're sitting, and I just happened to have it on.
Two ex-players.
Mm-hmm. As I park my car, a car comes and pulls into the car park next to me, right next to me, and I go, "Oh, it's Jared Beale, who used to be an NRL player, played for the Broncos,
he's a great
played for Cronulla, played for the Warriors.
Yep. Had a pretty good career.
So I wind down my window to wave to him and say g'day. He winds down his window. I go, "Hey, mate." He goes, "Hey, mate." At that moment, on the podcast, Jason Nightingale just happened to be talking about a semi-final from like 2010 or 2011. It was Lockie's last game at Suncorp Stadium, actually, and Lockie kicked a field goal to win the game. And at that moment, Jason Nightingale says, yeah, you might remember that game because earlier in the match, Jared Beale had broken Darren Lockyer's jaw in an accident.
How bizarre!
Oh, that's weird.
My mouth just dropped. It was the only
Lockie's
time.
did.
Yes. It was the only time in that entire podcast that Jared's
Jared Beale's
name came up.
Is he still there?
Oh yeah. I was just like, mate, you will not believe what just happened.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. Like,
That's unbelievable.
That's bizarre.
Did Jared recognise you?
Yeah.
He knew who you were.
Yeah. Our boys are in the same team.
Sorry. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, we know each other. So
I thought you were going to say that you pulled up and you were both listening to the podcast at exactly the same time.
No.
And I was like, oh, that's a coincidence. But the fact that he's in the car next to you,
isn't that bizarre?
that is bizarre.
Did he?
Is that the
did he
universe
listen?
working?
Yeah, so then I said, I got out and said to him, I didn't play it for him actually, I just said, mate, they're talking about you. They're talking about you right now.
How funny.
Would have made him feel good.
Yeah.
And he hurt Lockie's jaw. He broke his jaw.
Didn't mean to.
No,
it was an
because
accident.
Jared was actually the fullback for the Broncos and Lockie, and so they both
Same
went,
team.
They both went for the same ball, and Jared accidentally, it was just like friendly fire, collected Lockie's jaw and broke it, but Lockie kept playing on.
Okay.
And it ended up being Lockie's last ever moment at Suncorp Stadium was in Golden Point. He kicked this field goal
Okay.
so that we beat whoever we were playing that night. St George, I think it was, and we went on in the finals. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a coincidence.
There you go.
Bizarre.
Bizarre.
Truly bizarre.
How bizarre.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
Buzz just told me he's never seen The Castle, the movie.
I might have watched it when I was at school, but I do not recall anything about that movie.
Dale dug a hole.
I've heard people quote it, but I couldn't
Yeah.
tell you one thing about that.
Is Mitch here? Because what year did that come out? Or just
97, I reckon.
97.
Someone Google.
Well, Alicia hasn't seen it either, our producer, but she's not from Australia, so that's okay. It's classic Australian, Alicia. It's like classic Australian because
97, yeah.
97. My parents did something yesterday that so reminded me
Dug a
of
hole.
The Castle. And what about, and they stood
Served
always
Lamington for dinner. What do you call
buy
this?
stuff.
Rissoles.
What do you call this, Dale?
And remember
Ice
that
cream.
they were buying stuff all the time off trading posts.
trading
wasn't it?
posts.
Trading post,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then what do they want for that? Whatever.
Yes.
Tell him he's dreaming.
Yeah, tell him he's dreaming.
Yeah. Jousting sticks.
Yeah.
It was
What are you
jousting.
going to do with them, Dale?
Yeah, it was so funny. No,
Eric Bunner was in that too.
yes,
God, that was a fun.
and Sophie Lee. What's her name?
Yeah, Sophie Lee.
Yeah,
was
Sophie
it?
Lee.
Sophie Lee, yeah.
I think that was a name.
This is going straight to the pool room.
That's probably one of the
Yes.
most used ones these days,
And
isn't it?
hadn't they just got back from Bali or something, and they just got and the culture.
Yeah, that's
The
right. yeah.
culture.
Eric Banner was married
Yes.
to Sophie Lee.
Yes.
Yes.
All the characters.
And
And
he
they
was-
just come back from Bali.
Yeah.
And he was into kickboxing.
Yeah, he was-
remember? He had a kickboxing.
Kickboxing bag.
And he used to go kickboxing.
Round-
I remember
It's
watching that for the
so
first time. I
Australian.
was in the cinema, and it took like about 20 minutes for it to kick in that
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
actually was,
Understand.
and then God, that was funny. That
Well, there's a scene from that when they get back from Bali as well, and they're talking about the food on the plane. Do you remember that? I won't.
were they raving about how good
Yeah,
it was? Yeah.
and I won't play the quote yet because that's the bit that reminded me of The Castle yesterday. So my mum had a pretty serious thing done a procedure done at the hospital yesterday, and I rang her and Dad up to see how it went, and literally they hardly even answered before they started getting onto the food. Don't you reckon parents do that? His mum was like, I was like, how was the procedure, Mum? She's like, it was fine, but I wasn't happy with my sandwich I got after it. She goes, I ordered the turkey and cranberry, but it came with cheese. And I said, did you get a cappuccino, Mum? Because, if you've had a procedure at the hospital, you get like a sandwiches and a little cappuccino at the end, like if you have a colonoscopy or something.
Right.
She goes, no, I decided on the flat white, but it wasn't up to standard either. But then in the background, Dad's going, who was waiting at a cafe while she was getting the procedure done. I had the best muffin I've ever had. And I was like, I'm just laughing.
The procedure could have been a complete flop, but that wouldn't have mattered. It was
No.
more about the sandwiches.
With food. And Dad's like, I didn't even ask him. It was an apple and cinnamon. And then I said to
Everything
him,
comes back to food.
it does. And then
And there's no way that they're making the best apple and cinnamon things at a hospital the best he's ever had.
I know.
Doesn't it? Must have been.
I don't know.
Must
It must
be really
become
hungry.
the highlight of the day.
Yeah,
or
something for some
Yeah.
reason. Food at good,
It reminds me of my granny. She used to do all these trips with the nursing home. She'd go up and down, like she'd go. They do these god awful road trips. Like they go,
Chuck 'em in a
we're gonna
bus.
Go to here, to one little town to another, and she'd be away for 3 days, and you'd be like, well, how was Warwick? Warwick, we had apple pie, and they had curried sausages. Oh yeah, what was Gimpy? Gimpy, it was shepherd's pie.
Yeah, it all comes back to food. And I said to Dad that about his muffin, the best muffin he's ever had. I said, did you get it heated or have it cold, Dad? Because Cliff and I always have arguments about heating our muffins. Anyway, that's not a metaphor.
Isolate it. Yeah.
That's so a metaphor.
Does Cliff like it hot?
Of course he does.
And Dad's like, no, I didn't get it heated because you see in the news that some cafes are charging $1 to heat your muffins. Have you seen that?
I did see that in the news yesterday.
It was a big story yesterday. And Dad's like, yeah, it was a big story yesterday, so I didn't want it to get it heated in case it cost me an extra $1. Oh, God. Anyway, it reminded me so much. I'm going to play the castle thing. In my mind, the castle scene when they come back and talking about the food on the aeroplane, they've just been to Bali and they get into a conversation about what they got on the plane. In my mind, it went for ages, but it's actually just a really short grab.
Oh, Mum, we had a choice between fish and beef Wellington.
Beef Wellington?
What's that, Dale?
It's beef done in pastry.
So interesting.
I'm sure it was more than that. It was longer than that, surely. It was Eric Banner and Sophie Lee. Oh, God, that was funny, that movie. You got to watch it, The Castle.
And somehow it's like a lot of Aussie movies, I feel like it's when they go that sort of, real over the top
Aussie.
sort of Aussie shtick thing. It's too much. But for some reason in The Castle, it just works.
Got it right. But Buzz, mate, if you watch that film, like from your generation, and you don't, like, I will be amazed. There's a part of me that envies you that you haven't watched it because you get to watch it for the first time again.
I won't be watching it.
Why not?
Watch it.
Well,
You got to watch it.
It's a classic Australian film.
Nah, not interested.
Have a couple of beers.
Really? Maybe we should put
Friday
a castle thing on for the show for people who haven't heard
That'd be pretty cool.
or haven't seen it yet.
If we get a cinema gold class.
Gold class. And
You reckon your kids have seen it? I'm gonna ring.
we showed them. We showed them it.
I don't know that my kids have seen it.
We made them watch it.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
The castle is classic. Like, have you got one of the quotes there to remind people?
Dad?
Yeah.
Some guy's selling an overhead projector.
Nah. Now, hang on, Steve. What's he asking?
$150.
Tell him he's dreaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Lauren, you've got 4 kids and you bought them the Castle DVD, did you, for Christmas?
I did, and it's the greatest gift I've ever bought. And I suggest, Buzz, you go out this morning and get yourself down to JB Hi-Fi for $12. It'll change your life.
I don't actually own a DVD player.
$12?
Oh, my goodness. 12 big ones. 12 big ones to hear my kids walk around the kitchen and say, what do you call this? Ice cream. But it's what you do with it. Scoop it out of the tub.
I got that quote here.
Oh, hello. How's this, boys? Woohoo! What do you call this?
Chicken.
Yeah, but it's got something sprinkled on it.
Seasoning.
Seasoning. Looks like everybody's kicked a goal.
So I don't remember So this was 97. I reckon either 97 or 98. Brisbane hosted the Davis Cup. I think we played Russia or something. And
Marriott South.
And Pat Rafter, Leighton Hewitt, all that. And they had an after party at Adrenaline Sports Bar.
Oh, yes.
And you were there?
No, I'm said, I'm just remembering Adrenaline Sports
Michael
Bar.
Caton, who's Daryl Kerrigan, the dad. He was so famous at that point. We're at a sports bar in Brisbane on Charlotte Street, a massive sports bar. He was crowd surfing. Like,
was he?
It must have been a year after the movie came out. I was like, that's Michael Caton crowd. Like, him and Pat Rafter were above them.
Wow.
That's
he was
how
old.
big the castle was.
Michael Caton was the dad, wasn't he? So
he's on ads at the moment. He's on that Kit Kat ad where the two of them sit outside and they have a fight over who's doing the spell. He's like the old
wizard.
Wizard.
Yeah.
Okay. And remember, who was the wife? Because she was in A Country Practice.
Oh, yeah, Molly.
She was Molly.
Molly.
Antenny.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Sal Kerrigan.
Yeah, classic.
What do we got? Christine, Eden's Landing. So you've never watched it?
No, I haven't.
You're in your 40s.
Yeah.
I'm 43 and I've never watched it.
You're right in the wheelhouse.
Why didn't you watch it?
Yeah. I just no real interest, and probably hasn't ever popped up and been brought to my attention. So I might have to go watch it now.
Is it on a streaming service, Mitch?
Yeah, it's on Stan.
It's
yeah.
it's on Stan, is it? Oh, give it a go.
Perfect.
Yeah, see if you can watch it. See if it holds up.
I mean, either way you slice and dice it, it's like it is a classic Australian film. You ever seen Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
So again, I was young when I watched it. So these are all a bit before... do you know what I mean? I might have been early teens and maybe not the sort of movie that I'd want to watch at that time of my life.
Crocodile Dundee must have been about 87, and then The Castle, it was 97. So it was like, but it was like,
It's classic. Shazia, you watched it for schoolwork, did you?
I watched it at TAFE.
At TAFE? Why did you watch it at TAFE?
Because our English teacher, obviously, she was only teaching English, and we were there to learn English, and she was very excited about this movie and said that you will learn English very well if you watch this movie. So she broke it down, I think, in a 3-day thing, and then we watched it, and I could not understand a word.
They're watching it to learn English. That's hilarious.
You get a real ochre accent after it, like, hey, darl.
Straight to the pool.
Yeah.
That's so funny, TAFE. What a great TAFE teacher. I love that.
Not really, because she didn't
understand
understand a word. Jackie.
Wrap us up.
Hi. I haven't seen it, no.
Okay, well, you sound young too.
How old are you?
I was born in 96.
Do you want to see it now after hearing some of the quotes? Have you heard the quotes?
Well, I hadn't heard of it. I'd not heard of this movie at all until a couple months ago when people at work started quoting it, and I was so confused. And they've been telling me to watch it, and I still haven't, but maybe I have to now.
Yeah, give it a go.
You've got to see it.
You've got to look. It's on that level, just as far as cinema. It's on that. It's like, I'd say there's Crocodile Dundee sits high and mighty. Then you got Muriel's Wedding, Priscilla Queen of the Desert.
Yeah, The Castle.
Chopper.
Definitely, yes.
Like it's one of those ones. Just say when you're at some bogan dinner party, you know what people are talking about.
Just a cultural
Well,
reference.
I watched him in Pack to the Rafters.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the
There you go.
Rafters.
He's in that.
Who's in that?
But it has...
Isn't he in that?
Daryl
Kerrigan's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Caine.
Oh, is he?
I rang Levi, my boy, during the song and said to him, Levi, have you ever seen The Castle? And he went, yeah. Oh, well, I watched the first episode and I didn't watch the second. I went, it's not a series, you idiot. It's a film. So he hasn't watched it either.
Nah.
I'm going to make my kids watch it.
Well, it is on
Homework.
Stan, so if you're like me, you've never seen it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe
Check
we'll
it
give
out.
it a go.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.